recently I was in Tokyo and I walked past a WeWork co-working space, and oh my god, it's huge. It's massive, and not only that, it was busy. I suppose the reason I'm surprised is because I kept thinking of co-working spaces, a bit old fuddy-duddy, right? Of something that was a bit of a trend, a bit of a hipster fad, but you talk to some people and it's not a fad, is it? It is a legitimate place of work now.
So I did go into this story with that question precisely, whether co-working space is sustainable, or is it just a trend, or will they be here in the long run? And so my questions were targeted at how long will they be in the market. And interestingly, even for me, that the consultants seem to think that they are expanding. They are not just a trend, at least not in the medium to long term even. And they're saying that they're seeing some shifts from companies, and MNCs are also going into co-working. So opposite us, Karsam and Mami are moving into Colony.
Right behind us, right?
Yes.
And that's the interesting part, because you'd think that this kind of co-working spaces are for small startups, solo guys, but multinationals, where one of your bragging rights is you can put your name in big plaques on the building. When you spoke to the consultants, what were they saying? Why did it appeal to like MNCs?
I think for those that may want to even consider certain departments, it may not be the entire headquarters. Maybe they want to start shifting one or two departments that they are thinking of either downsizing or even have the opportunity to upsize it. So that's that flexibility that co-working offers them, I think. There is a shift in how people view work and the working arrangements. So today I came across a headline that it just says a lot of companies are losing out if they're not offering their employees a more flexible working arrangement. And I think it brings up the question as to, have things really changed, or are there more changes to come?
But in general, they seem to be positive, don't they?
About co-working spaces, yes, they definitely see that there is potential to grow. But of course, one did say that it may not grow as exponentially as before. It might taper off a bit, but it will definitely not overtake traditional offices.
The reason I also pause is because one thing that I mentioned was WeWork, and WeWork has had almost a spectacular round of troubles, from IPO to almost bankruptcy. And the other concern, I think, locally is there are a lot of them. They seem to be like, the reason we mentioned fad is because there seem to be co-working spaces almost in every building. Did any of the consultants comment on this? Like, you're burning out way too fast?
So one did talk about the sustainability of the business. So he says that it is understandable that these operators would want to expand as quickly as possible to have as many co-working spaces as possible to win the race or be the top in the market. But he did kind of caution against such growth, and he seems to think that you have to know that you have to make certain decisions. You cannot focus purely on growth. You have to think about other things as well.
But there was also one little thing at the end of your story, was that with this fast growth, with this early adoption, there's issues about regulation. Will there be issues about regulation, you think?
So that's a more interesting aspect, I think, because I never came across it. So this, I spoke to this lawyer who wrote an article about it. He seems to think that it can overlap with real estate regulations, because there are no cases yet with co-working spaces in courts, or has anyone brought about it before. But he thinks that because it's really new, so he compares it a little bit to e-hailing, where you will need regulations for it eventually. And so he seems to think that the regulatory aspect of it is still at its infancy for co-working spaces.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.